Greetings, everyone. Matthew Kraemer here, music director of the Indianapolis Chamber Orchestra. I am thrilled to welcome a superb young cellist to our program, our guest artist for next weekend's classical concert, an artist who I've actually known for over 15 years, the early days of my career with the Virginia Symphony Orchestra. There was a marvelously talented family named the Elliots. Our guest artist is Sterling Elliott, who is going to be playing the Haydn D major cello concerto. Sterling, welcome to this program.
Thank you. I'm so excited. Thank you for having me.
As I mentioned, when I got down to Virginia in 2007, Newport News, Norfolk area, everybody was raving about this family of very talented string players. I heard you play several times and just absolutely very impressed and not surprised at all the way that your career has just skyrocketed here. But I want to get a chance to introduce you and your early musical development. As I understand it, in a very musical string-oriented family, you, as the youngest of the siblings, were given the cello, but it was not your first choice of instrument. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yes. So my family, we started out having a family string quartet. It's something that my mom had always wanted, a dream of hers. And my mom herself is a violinist. I'm the youngest of three siblings, so my older two siblings play violin as well. You see, we started out as a three violins and just cello string quartet. And later my mom transitioned to the viola. But so when my mom was pregnant with me, me being the fourth ensemble to come in this family string quartet, she knew we needed some bass instrument in this quartet. So it was when my mom was pregnant with me that she went and bought the cello that I was going to be playing as soon as I could. And when it was about that time, when I was 3 years old, I kicked and screamed. I didn't want to play the cello. All I saw and heard for my 3+ years, either in the womb or out seeing my siblings and my mom play, was the violin. Um, my mom told me a little white lie that kept me going. When I was 3 years old, she told me, Sterling, cellists make more money.
Well, it obviously didn't take very long for this instrument to resonate with you. As I mentioned, you were so young when I was down there in Virginia, and just, obviously you took to this instrument very, very quickly. And the list of orchestras that you've soloed with already, I mean, it's the who's who of orchestra. Los Angeles Philharmonic, Philadelphia Orchestra, Cleveland Orchestra, Boston, Detroit, Dallas. How has this adventure been for you? I mean, it just seems that, like, you went from the Tidewater region to the stages of these great American orchestras. It must have been thrilling every step along the way.
Absolutely thrilling, and it's really just exploded. Yeah, after doing some competitions such as the Sphinx competition, which is a national competition, it promotes diversity in the arts. So it's a competition for African Americans and Latinos. Once I did this competition in the junior category when I was 14 years old, is when I won the first prize. They help artists, I guess, like me, who win the prize, go on these massive stages. I think one of the first big stages I got to play on when I was around 15 was with the Cleveland Symphony Orchestra, which was, and each time I get to do this, I feel like one of the most satisfying things about it is just how proud my mom is. My mom is from Akron, Ohio, and so seeing the Cleveland Symphony play when she was growing up was her childhood, and getting to I guess be a part of my mom's childhood at this stage of artistry and music making. It's just, I just felt so, I just felt like I was yeah, I just doing my mom well. And that's just to say, on top of all the inspiration musically that I get from all the musicians and the amazing conductors I've gotten to work with. And this is just going to be another one. I mean, every single one has been so thrilling of an experience. That's such a great word. And so I'm excited to continue this journey that's been great.
So you're, as a soloist, performing with these amazing orchestras, chamber music, and you've just. Is there a certain genre, of performing that you're really gravitating to, or are you really just enjoying doing everything? Because it seems like you've got your feet in everything. It seems like it's still such a young stage for you to really to know where everything is going to develop. But are you just happy doing everything, performing in small events and in chamber music, and then the big concert halls as well?
I am happy doing everything. However, there definitely is a genre that I naturally gravitate to, which would be chamber music. Whether it's because of, I guess, the roots of my musical experience being chamber music with my family for so many years, or just discovering the depths of like perhaps string quartet repertoire or just chamber music repertoire in general once I started studying at Juilliard. About 5 years ago, I think that's definitely been a genre that has always had such a deep spot in my heart. Something that I could spend every single day playing is chamber music. You know, so soloing is also a genre that I've learned to fall in love with as I something that as you mentioned, I primarily do when I travel. Um, However, soloing is a very gratifying. It's like training for a marathon. But let's see. I guess chamber music is like doing synchronized swimming. So it's like a whole never. It's a whole different sport. But it's the process of syncing and being inside the fingers and the musicianship of your friends is a whole nother passion that I think might be my favorite experience.
I love that description. We're going to step away from the interview now just to give the audience a chance to hear you play. Here's a clip of Sterling Elliott. That was wonderful. Thank you for sharing that, Sterling. Let's talk a little bit about the piece that you're going to be performing with the Indianapolis Chamber Orchestra next week. Certainly one of the staples, one of the core pieces in the cello repertoire. And it's interesting to discuss what are the concertos for cello. Obviously, Dvorak would be at the forefront, and they're great works by Prokofiev and Shostakovich, Cezanne. But this Haydn concerto is notoriously difficult, deceptively so. And it's such a wonderful work by a composer that we know primarily for symphonies and for masses and oratorios. Talk to us a little bit about the Haydn cello concerto in D major, the second concerto of the two existing. What makes it such a gratifying piece to play, and what is it that draws you to this piece?
Oh my gosh, absolutely. So this has quickly become one of my favorite cello concertos. A lot of people, perhaps audience members, may know the its sister, Haydn's first cello concerto in C major, which is a popular work to be played either among students or just on stages. Um, However, this piece was for many, I guess, centuries, and decades before this was actually sort of known by musicians or by cellists and by my teachers as not Haydn's concertos. It was always a controversial work that was thought to be composed by someone else, and it wasn't until extremely recently that there was some factual evidence dug up that had proven that this was Haydn's work. And I mean, I have always grown up knowing that this was Haydn's work. Just that's just the generation I guess I was born into, but I have no doubt in my mind that this is Haydn because the features of this piece, the joy and just exuberance and life that's into every single um difficult virtuosic passage. I mean, from the first to third movement, I think life is something that is just electrified through the entire piece, and I think that's one of my favorite parts about playing the piece. Yes, it's cellists describe the piece as walking on a tightrope. I think just because we are sitting in some of the highest registers in our instrument with sort of a thinner texture in the orchestra compared to Dvorak and Saint-Saëns and Lalo and the such. But I guess that the freedom to be singing in our most brilliant register, which is our higher register, or in flourishing up and down the cello, and just having that freedom to completely sing with no restriction, I guess, when it comes to sound of massive orchestra. It's really a joy once you get it down once or twice.
I'm so glad that you described that walking on a high wire, because that's the description that almost every cellist describes to me. There's a really wonderful friend of mine who's playing. I just enjoy very much. He's principal of a major orchestra, and he won't play this concerto because exactly that reason. He said, "No, there's nowhere to hide. You're
Yeah,
just out there fully exposed. Not like this huge blanket of romantic orchestra where a scratched note or something can be suddenly hidden. But this is, I mean, the texture is so thin and beautifully crafted too. And I've heard excerpts of you playing this piece. It's obviously a work that you've had in your repertoire for some time, and you're playing quite a bit as well, because right after we're finished with our performance next week, you head back home to the Virginia Symphony where you're going to be playing this concerto. And your brother is a member of the Virginia Symphony. Is that right? What's it going to be like to go home and play again?
that's right. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I got to play with the Virginia Symphony about a year ago, actually, with my brother. We were both doing a solo with the Virginia Symphony, and again, I'm so excited to come back and play with the Virginia Symphony. And it's always such a joy to be able to send an email bite to my friends and family and say, I'm coming to my hometown. Come see me play. And yeah, and especially just once again this piece, I think I also used to have a similar reaction to this piece of, ooh, I'm not sure. I always enjoyed the piece. I always loved practicing it, but of course I was a little bit frightful when it came to performing it. And I had some of my first performances of this piece with orchestra just this past fall. I performed it with a few different symphonies, and I realized from the very first rehearsal just how much my love for this piece continued even in performance or even in a solo and orchestral setting. I think the fear is the fear of the tightrope is completely overplayed, I guess, by this by the I think it's the joy in the music that just again makes it such a fun experience that's the only thing that ends up mattering once the time comes. So just again, I'm so excited to play this piece. I really do think it's quickly become one of my favorite concertos.
I love to hear that. I love the enthusiasm that you have for it, and you play so beautifully. It's going to be a thrill to welcome you to the Schrott Center for the Performing Arts to perform this concerto. And it's also worth noting that your brother, as I referenced, will be joining the Indianapolis Chamber Orchestra in May to serve as a guest concertmaster. So I'm thrilled, as I started this program out, to say over 15 years, to watch your career just absolutely flourish. I know that the orchestras that I mentioned in the competitions that I listed that you've already won are just the beginning of what will be numerous accomplishments. And thank you for coming to Indianapolis, sharing your talents with our orchestra and with our audience. Sterling, we look forward to your performance next week. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. So excited to be there.
Bye, everyone.